When a world-class surgeon vanishes without a trace from his locked seaside home, a small Maine town is left to mourn its hero. But Detective Clara Reyes soon uncovers a truth so intricate, so heartbreakingly precise, it blurs the line between a crime and a sacrifice. The disappearance of Dr. Alistair Finch on a clear Tuesday morning was not just news. It was a seismic event that fractured the serene facade of Oakhaven, Maine. Finch, a man of international renown, a pediatric cardiothoracic surgeon whose hands had mended countless fragile hearts, was a quiet hero of their isolated coastal community. His absence felt like a deliberate act of violation against Oakhaven itself. His home, a sleek architectural statement overlooking the Atlantic, showed no signs of forced entry. The doors were locked from the inside. His keys, wallet, and a high-limit corporate card lay undisturbed on a silver tray in the foyer. It was a vanishing act of a meticulous man. The only items missing were highly personal. His encrypted laptop and the small, tarnished antique silver locket he always wore beneath his scrubs. A piece of jewelry Oakhaven's residents had only glimpsed over 2 decades. The deepest enigma, however, was found on his pillow, a single, perfectly formed origami crane, folded from light blue stationery. The crane was a silent, graceful signature left in the violent wake of his vanishing, a signature that refused to fit the prevailing local theory. The local chief immediately mobilized the state troopers, convinced they were dealing with a high-stakes abduction aimed at a wealthy man. But Detective Clara Reyes, recently transplanted from the frenetic pace of the Metropolitan Police Force, was skeptical. The lack of struggle, the locked doors, the presence of his wallet, these details screamed staged rather than seized. Dr. Finch wasn't just rich, he was revered. Every resident offered an airtight alibi, backed by genuine admiration. He was a benefactor, a genius, a man who, despite his fame, had chosen their small town. The overwhelming consensus was that he was too good, too selfless, to have personal enemies. Reyes realized the town's protective reverence was a thick, blinding fog. To find a man, she had to look past the saint they worshipped and find the human they protected. The blue origami crane, she felt, was a pinhole of light through the fog, a strange, intimate clue left specifically for discovery. Reyes ignored the FBI's boilerplate abduction protocols and focused instead on the details of Finch's private life. The breakthrough came from his long-distance phone records and hidden bank transfers, reluctantly disclosed by his firm's lawyer. For years, Finch had maintained a second life, shielded by an intermediary trust. The paper trail led down 2 obscure paths. First, a disgruntled colleague revealed a professional secret. Years ago, Finch had gone against protocol to save an infant, exposing another surgeon's malpractice. The child lived, but the physician's career was destroyed. Finch had saved a life but ruined another, carrying that guilt in silence. Second, the recurring, substantial wire transfers, often tens of thousands of dollars, pointed to a young woman named Alara Vance in southern Florida. Reyes' visit confirmed the personal secret. Alara was a victim of a rare, chronic illness requiring constant medical care. She was also Finch's estranged, illegitimate daughter, conceived during a youthful romance and supported entirely in secret for her entire life. The trail then led to Miriam Hale, Alara's caregiver and financial liaison, a woman who existed on paper but nowhere in person. Reyes finally found her in a rented, isolated cabin 30 miles inland from Oakhaven. Living in quiet anonymity, Reyes confronted Miriam, not with accusations but with a question. "Tell me about the crane." Miriam's composure shattered. She didn't deny involvement. She merely denied the body. "He asked me to help him finish his work," Miriam whispered. "He wasn't taken, detective. He chose to leave." The revelation was devastating in its precision. Dr. Finch had been diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer months earlier. The brilliant surgeon knew his timeline was short, and his death would trigger years of probate litigation. Time his daughter didn't have. So he designed his final operation. Finch had staged his disappearance to activate a clause in his estate plan. In the event of his unexplained presumed death, his fortune would transfer instantly into a protected trust for Alara's lifelong care. The origami crane was his and Alara's private signal, a reference to a Japanese folktale about sacrifice and eternal devotion. The missing laptop contained illegal documents. The discarded locket, holding a faded photograph of Alara's mother, was a symbolic shedding of identity. Dr. Finch hadn't been murdered. He had erased himself with surgical precision. Detective Reyes sat in that dim cabin, realizing she hadn't uncovered crime, but a masterpiece of compassion. Miriam confirmed the rest. She had driven Finch to a bus depot in upstate New York, where he boarded a southbound bus under a new, untraceable identity. Reyes could have exposed him, reopened the case, shattered the narrative that kept Oakhaven united. But she didn't. Her final report read simply, "Case closed. Presumed homicide. Body not recovered." The town continued to mourn its hero. They spoke of his brilliance, his kindness, and the cruel randomness of his loss. But Reyes knew better. Finch hadn't been claimed by tragedy. He had orchestrated his own disappearance, his final act of healing, with a single blue paper crane left behind as a signature. 3 months after Dr. Finch was declared dead, a small, unmarked parcel arrived at a care facility in Naples, Florida. It bore no return address, only the name Alara Vance, written in precise, deliberate script. Inside, wrapped in linen, lay a silver locket, its chain newly polished. Inside one half was a sepia photo of Alara's mother. Inside the other, a light blue origami crane. A single note was tucked beneath. "The tide carries all things away, but love remains anchored. The world will believe I am gone, let it. You, my heart, are the life I chose to save. When you see the next crane, know I am still folding." Yef. Alara pressed the crane to her chest and closed her eyes. There were no tears, only a calm certainty that her father had succeeded in the only operation that mattered. From that day forward, the nurses noticed a quiet ritual. Each week, a blue paper crane appeared on her windowsill. No records, no visitors, just a single folded figure, its wings angled toward the sea. And though Alara's condition continued to decline, she was never afraid again. She simply smiled when she saw each crane, knowing that somewhere beyond the horizon, her father was still folding, still watching, still keeping his silent promise, based on true events, or the ones we tell ourselves to survive.